Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident panelist, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_data. Well, I was going to sound a lot smarter had it not been for the news that just came across the wire here about Romeo Doubs. Just saw that he was suspended. I was going to say that. I was going to be a genius. And then they did it, and now it just sounds like I'm reporting what everyone else is. Let's back up a little bit, though. There, as we know, we've been talking about, Romeo Doubs has been out with something personal. Since the last time I posted a podcast, that's all we knew, is that it was something personal. It just dawned on me that the suspension came down after the news came out about what's going on, so that adds an interesting dynamic to this. But anyways, let us continue. News broke, I believe via Huber, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong. Is he Sports Illustrated, Huber? Anyways, news broke that apparently what had happened with Romeo Doubs, because if I didn't say it, he was out for a personal thing. Didn't know if something happened to his family, didn't know what was going on, but it sounded, not super great. Apparently what had happened is the Packers had practice and Romeo Doubs just did not show up. And the Packers were nervous. They sent some people to his house, and he was there. And according to reports via, again, I believe Huber, he basically just said, "I'm not happy. I'm not happy with my usage in the offense." Now, I think we all kind of just took that at face value for about 10 seconds before a lot of things started to click in our brain. And it really just did not pass the smell test. Obviously, kudos to all the insiders who are getting us little bits of information here and there, but there is no way that is the entirety of the story. It doesn't make any sense. There's a couple reasons why. Number one, there's nothing wrong with his usage in the offense. He has run more routes. I think even last week, he ran more routes than anybody else, meaning he was essentially wide receiver one. He was on the field running routes as a receiver more than anybody else. He is the third most targeted guy on the team, but it's silly to even say it that way because two guys have 22 targets, he has 20. So it's basically like a three-way tie, and Romeo is a part of that. There's a possibility that he's talking about his usage in terms of like how the routes he's running and whatnot. Maybe he's being used to get other people open and it ticks him off. I don't know. You may remember, and this is being passed around, you may remember the frustration Romeo Doubs had yesterday that was kind of illuminated a little bit more than at least what I was aware of. I don't know how much you all were aware. But aside from taking his helmet off and throwing it and whatnot after the interception, which, remember, it went off of the tight end's hands, kind of was behind Romeo. He tried to catch it, it bounced off his arms, and then it got intercepted. I think most of us just thought it was general frustration. Probably he was frustrated with himself because, dang it, I should have grabbed that one even though it was a tough one. Didn't think too much more of it. But Lauren Helmbricht, who is Lauren Helmbricht, by the way? Sports gal, currently WFRV Sports. I don't know. I don't know who that is. It's Green Bay Station, I guess. Anyways, she says Romeo Doubs just threw his helmet off on the sideline after that interception. Again, we all saw that. She goes on to say, though, he's thrown his hands up multiple times and is pacing around. So he's very, very frustrated about something. Again, maybe not super crazy, but given the context, it maybe seems like something maybe was building. I don't know. But again, really doesn't make a lot of sense. There's also several other issues. Number one, if you have a problem with your usage in the offense, it doesn't make sense to just not show up to practice. That's not how you handle that. You go and talk to your coach. Why would you just not show up to practice? Maybe you have and he's not listening, I don't know, but that doesn't make any sense. The biggest thing, however, is that the Green Bay Packers are not allowed to say that somebody cannot play because of personal reasons if the player is just not showing up to practice. You're not allowed to designate somebody as that. There is a specific designation. It would have to do something with, your family or something, or it could be a mental health issue. where you could put it there, which is why I assumed it's more to it than that. He must be having a mental health issue. And there's a whole big thing, and that may still be the case, but there's a whole big thing about Romeo and him having some struggles with that. I don't want to dig too much into it. There is publicly available information out there. It was all over the place as far as his pre-draft stuff. A lot of things went down at the combine. He had a real rough upbringing. He's had some issues. Again, that may still be the issue. I mean, nothing about this makes sense. He's not acting very rationally about this. But it's absolutely crazy then to not only say he didn't come to practice and he's having some personal issues and we're giving him some space, but on Friday to say he is doubtful to play on Sunday. What is that about? Why would you do that? Right? That doesn't make a lot of sense. But then, again, the thing that just kind of realized, that dawned on me is they're not allowed to essentially designate him with that because you have to be honest to the NFL. It's possible that when this story broke, now the NFL's calling Green Bay saying, what the hell's going on? You said he's having some issues. Turns out he's just sitting home folding his hands saying, I'm not playing for you. You can't do that. Which is why mere hours after the story broke, Brian Gutekunst handed down a suspension to Romeo Doubs for conduct detrimental to the team because, again, you're not allowed to just not show up to practice. So he's given a suspension, which it sounds like he wasn't going to show up to play anyways, but they had to impose a suspension. Now, again, it maybe isn't that. It could just be that, you know, they treated it as a mental health thing at first, and then at some point they're like, look, I appreciate that you're going through some stuff, but at the same time, you have to show up just like everybody else, and you can't just say I'm not doing well, or whatever the case. Like you can't just not show up. We can't pass this off as a personal issue, and therefore you are getting suspended. But again, like it never made sense to begin with that the two things can't be together. He's just choosing to not show up because he's angry and he's out for personal reasons. Nope, that doesn't work. So something has to give. Either there's more to the story as far as his mental health, which could still be the case, or he needs to be suspended. / put on just the, no-show list or whatever the case may be for practice, and then he needs to be punished. And then the punishment comes down. And so now I don't know necessarily if there's some other stuff going on. But again, as far as the, let's say, mental health issue, let's just say that still nothing makes sense why he wouldn't be showing up. There have been times where players have been disgruntled for this reason or that reason, and they're not happy, and it's entirely possible that he may request a trade. I don't know. I don't know what's going to come of this, but this is a very weird situation. It's very strange for a guy who is not being suppressed in any way whatsoever, who has been playing with, like a backup quarterback for a long time, who now has Jordan Love back, who loves to target Romeo Doubs, and especially like in the red zone and everything. So you would think, hey, now is my time to shine. I don't know. Maybe something came up in the meetings where they said we need to start getting, Jaden Reed more opportunities, and Romeo's looking at it going, bro, this is like we're getting to contract year, and I need to show something, and now you're putting Wicks and Reed in front of me, and I'm ticked off. Don't know, man. Could be a lot of things. Again, I'm hesitant to speculate too much, but either he's just upset and is acting really stupid, which could be the case, or it's funny because the only other example I can think of somebody being this stupid was a guy who has serious mental health issues, and that's Antonio Brown. But it's really hard to figure out what's going on because I really struggle to think of situations where something like this has ever even happened. A player is so unhappy through 4 weeks of the season of his usage on the team, which again, there's nothing wrong with his usage on the team, that he just says, I'm not showing up. He doesn't even talk to anybody, just doesn't show up. I don't know what to make of that. But let me just real quick run through the two little bits of information that I do have here. All right, so here is, and it is Bill Huber. I got that right. Here's Bill Huber. Sources, Packers wide receiver Romeo Doubs skips practices over frustration with his role. So, a couple things in this article. He says, Matt LaFleur said it's still day to day. In this context, it's hard to understand what that means. Apparently, I mean, I'm assuming they're having conversations with him. And so far, I've not had progress, but are hopeful that they can figure something out. After practice, LaFleur said, I would hope so, when asked if Doubs would practice on Friday. He was not on the field, though, for a second consecutive day. So they were hoping he'd be out there Friday. He still refused to show up on Friday. And so they put him down as doubtful, presumably because that's just what it is, that it's doubtful that he's going to play on Sunday, which is crazy, which again led to the Packers suspending him for conduct detrimental. Anyways, continuing on. That story sat out there, and it was further reported that, I didn't find it in Huber's article, but it was further reported, the whole thing of him not showing up, and then they sent somebody to his house, whatever. So that just sat out there and marinated for a while. Then we get this. This was about 2:30-ish. A little before that, maybe 2:15 p.m. Packers suspend Romeo Doubs 1 game due to conduct detrimental to the team. Packers had initially listed Doubs as doubtful, citing personal reasons. Throughout the week, reports emerged suggesting Doubs was missing practice due to dissatisfaction with his role in the team. And again, I don't know, but it is interesting to me that they said he was out for personal reasons, and then the story broke that it's not really personal, he just not satisfied. You're not allowed to do that, and then boom, suspended. I'm just saying. Gutekunst comes out and says, unfortunately, we had to make the difficult decision to suspend Romeo for this week's game, General Manager Brian Gutekunst said in a statement. His decision and actions during the week negatively impacted the team and required us to take this action. While we're certainly disappointed, we are confident we'll be able to move forward in a positive manner. Romeo is a valuable member of our team, and we look forward to welcoming him back next week. Now, I don't really have any reason to believe he'll be back next week. I mean, why would he be? I'm guessing this is just optimism from Gutekunst that they'll continue conversations and be able to get him back. But the bottom line is there's more to this story that needs to be broken. This was a necessary step, right? I was going to come on and say it doesn't make sense. You can't do that. That's already been taken care of now. You can't do that. He got suspended. Okay, what's going on though? Either I see this as one of two ways. Either he's having some mental health issues. He's stressed, depressed, anxious, whatever the case may be, and he just needs to be done for a little while, which again, you're not supposed to do that, so you get suspended, but maybe he just needs some time. He's going through some stuff. He needs some help. Packers hopefully are going to do everything they can to get him whatever help he needs and give him the time he needs and then move along. Although, if that was the case, I think you probably could have just left it at, a personal thing and gone with that. So that's maybe less likely because they wouldn't have needed to suspend him, but the other thing is Doubs is effectively holding out, right? If we're going to assume that this is a rational thing that he's doing, then he's holding out for something. And he's either looking for some kind of, it's not going to be money, I would assume. That would be silly of him to say, I want guaranteed money now, because, bro, this is the very wrong way to do that. When we have a wealth of weapons, you are relegated to maybe wide receiver 3 right now. It's not the right time. But either he's looking for some kind of a concession about the way he's being used. Again, as an example, maybe he's being used a ton to clear out so Jaden Reed can come underneath and get open and get all the glory and all this stuff, and he's doing the dirty work and he's upset, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. He's either looking for a concession, and when he gets it, maybe he'll come back, or the guy's just done, and he's saying, I want to be traded. I mean, please understand, that might be what's happening right now. He's saying, no, I want out. And the Packers are saying, well, we're not trading you, so stop it. And that just has not gotten out yet. Which could lead to a big, long thing, because we know Gutekunst does not generally bend to the whims of players throwing temper tantrums. He will say, no, we have your contract, you will play for us, or you can sit here and not get paid. But the bottom line is, again, I said I didn't want to speculate a ton, and here we go. I'm just trying to think through this stuff. The bottom line is there is more to the story that needs to come out. Again, it's going to be very interesting come Monday, Tuesday, whatever. Immediately, the question is going to be about Romeo Doubs. I mean, pending any major injuries or whatever major things that are going on, that's going to be one of the first things people are asking. Is Romeo back? Have you been in communication with Romeo? What's going on with Romeo Doubs? And if there are big disputes, they're going to try to keep it under wraps, but as we've seen from Huber and Schneidman and a lot of these insider guys, I mean, it's going to get out. They have contacts with people in the building, from players to everybody else, and they can try to keep it as hush-hush as possible. But rumors are going to get out if that is the case. So the team, whatever it is going to have to work hard and fast to get this thing resolved, get him back in the building, or get out in front of it. If there's a comment to be made, you need to make the comment, control the narrative, so to speak. But it is unfortunate. I mean, listen, it could cost us a game. Romeo is an important part of this team. We already don't have Christian Watson, and now we're down a second wide receiver, not for any reason other than Romeo's throwing a fit. And again, I want to be gracious in case there are things going on, but I'm just, it's serious. It's a serious thing that's going on to just not show up for a game. Just saw something else pop up. Ian Rappaport kind of recapped the thing and then said something along the lines of there is belief at this point that there are positive discussions and that he'll be back next week. So I guess that's good. It's such a weird freaking thing. And, I mean, look, I'm sure to some degree there is a level of, oh, we got Romeo's back no matter what, all that stuff. But he did just abandon his team. I mean, that's not a great thing. Everybody's rallying and trying to get this win and trying to win a Super Bowl and trying to do great things, trying to, make some money. And we got Romeo just saying, I don't feel like playing. I don't want to play with this team. I don't like them. I don't like what they're doing. I'm unhappy with, I'm not getting enough. It's all about me, obviously. Again, I don't know the full context, but I could absolutely see how this is not going to be looked at very positively from a team perspective. Anyways, I suppose we should take a break. We'll come back and talk about some of the upcoming games. There is some other news floating around out there, including Devontae, which with the whole Doubs thing, obviously the Devontae to Green Bay thing has ramped up. I don't think it's to the point of being a serious discussion, but it's worth bringing up, I guess. But we'll get there when we get there. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. All right, so a couple things. First of all, if you're looking for some betting advice, which I've done in the past, I'm sticking that pretty exclusively on the Substack, which you don't have to pay for that. I mean, there is a subscription to the Substack, but the betting advice is free. At least for now, I got to reel some people in before I slap the old bam, can't get past it without a subscription thing. But anyways, the other thing about the Substack is me and the family are going to be watching the game. So we're not going to be doing a live stream. However, there is a live chat feature on Substack. So go subscribe, packernet.substack.com. And probably to be doing like an all-day thing, meaning we'll fire that up early for the Jets and Vikings game. We'll be able to chat our way through that. Hopefully we get a good enough amount of people in there, but if it's me and one other guy, then that's what it is. So there's that. The games. Let's get to the games. All right, but we do have an early game, Minnesota and the Jets. Minnesota is technically the home team. This is going to be out in the UK somewhere, England. I don't know if it's in London necessarily, probably, whatever. But the Vikings are 2-point favorites. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I've been saying I feel like this is set up for the Vikings' success, and set up is maybe unfair to them. And again, if they are continuing to decline, and maybe that's even an unfair thing to say, because I've been saying I think Justin Jefferson will continue to improve, which he has been. But anyways, maybe the Vikings eventually fall off here. I just don't necessarily love the matchup, partially with the Jets just losing to the Broncos. I mean, if this was 2 weeks ago, we saw them and everyone's thinking, oh, Aaron Rodgers is back and this is the best we've ever seen him and this is a Super Bowl team and all that stuff. And then they lose to a bullcrap team like the Broncos and it's like, oh, well, never mind. We don't need to talk about that. It's not great. The other thing is part of the concern seemed to be that it was one of the most blitz happy. I think it was the number one blitzing team in football. Minnesota is the number 2 blitzing team in football. So there's some concern that there's going to be more of the same. With that said, however, the Jets defense, I believe, is for real. I know you could say some of the other teams that they face have had for real defenses too, but, at the time, maybe not quite so much. But my hope is the Jets defense is able to stifle Minnesota the Jets actually get out to a lead. I'm hoping Aaron Rodgers can get out, sling down the field, score that first touchdown, get a stop, force the Vikings to play from behind and see how it goes from there. But again, I would lean Minnesota in that, unfortunately. It is a big game, though, especially with some of the easier things going on. Detroit has a bye week, so they can't lose, and the Bears are playing the Carolina Panthers. Now, fortunately, the Carolina Panthers found a new quarterback, so I'm not positive that this is a slam dunk, but still, this is really our only chance of getting a leg up, because if we win and everybody else wins, or at least doesn't lose, we didn't really gain much ground. So big fingers crossed on the Jets being able to pull that one out. Carolina and Chicago 4-point favorites. That honestly may be a little lofty. I think maybe people are buying into the Bears a little bit much and hating on the Panthers a little bit too much. I think the Bears are maybe getting a little bit too much praise, partially because, I mean, they just were always, they were always too hyped. And so when a team that everybody loves starts off slow and then has their first game that seems competent, everyone's like, okay, they're back. Everything's fine. Everything's perfect. They're great. And that maybe isn't the case. Maybe the one decent game was the outlier. I think maybe it's underestimated how bad the Rams are. Again, at least I hope that's the case. We went over the team. Certainly looks like a terrible team. And then also there's probably some extra negatives towards Carolina, because it's Carolina, not really acknowledging that the team has looked better since Bryce Young sat down. Now, that doesn't mean I don't expect the Bears to win, but I'm just saying, maybe it's a little bit too automatic in everybody's mind, and we should, first of all, acknowledge that the Panthers probably have the better quarterback. Let's start there. But I think the Bears probably have the better everything else, so we'll see how it goes. Ravens-Bengals, I don't really care, although there was some interesting developments as far as Davante Adams posting a Edgar Allan Poe image on his Instagram. A lot of people immediately thought of the Raven story that he created. A lot of other people probably also remember Davante posting a lot of random crap to make people think things are happening when it's not. Colts-Jaguars, completely boring football game. Texans-Bills, less boring, but still, AFC, I don't super care. I am surprised the Texans are favorites in that. The Texans have really been struggling. Buffalo, not as much, but whatever. Patriots, Dolphins, do not care. Washington, Cleveland is really interesting because Washington has suddenly become a really scary team. Jaden Daniels, by many metrics, is the number one quarterback in football right now. On one hand, I think that is absolutely hilarious because the Bears didn't pick that one; they took the other one, and part of me hopes that Jaden Daniels is unbelievably good. But then again, it's like, do you really want Washington to be the next Kansas City Chiefs, or I don't know, maybe Texans or whatever? I don't know if the Texans are even good, but whatever. I guess I'm rooting for Cleveland because Washington is an NFC team that is probably going to be a playoff team. So we got to start worrying about them now. Then we got Raiders and Broncos. The only reason I care is because of Davante. We've heard pretty much everything that there is to say about this. Diana Rossini did put out an article, essentially just everything I'm hearing about the situation type of article. And again, it was more or less the same stuff that we've been hearing. There is an expectation for the Jets to go hard. Apparently, according to the article, Aaron Rodgers is pushing for this. I don't know if that's definitively, like we know that for sure, or just, we know that in the past he said he's wanted them, so we're going to assume that that's still the case. I don't really know. The only other slightly interesting development was the fact that she mentioned Davante does not have a no trade clause, meaning the Raiders, if they wanted to, and I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, you got this star wide receiver says, I want to be traded. Okay, you want to screw with me in my season. I'm not necessarily going to work real hard to make sure you get to go to your favorite destination. You want to get traded, you'll get traded where I say so. Otherwise, you'll just sit down and shut up. But the only reason that's slightly interesting is because I kind of ruled out teams like the Steelers. Maybe I shouldn't. But certain teams that you look at and go, I don't think that would be Davante's favorite option. All right, they got a cool coach there and everything, but the quarterback sucks. The team is not really great. Do you really want Justin Fields throwing to you as your quarterback? Really? But if there's a no trade clause and the Steelers give up the most enticing offer, then great. I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're going to have teams like the Jets that are going to be much more unreasonable, or that's probably the wrong word, the most stupid in their trade compensation and whatnot, because they're the Jets and because they're already all the way all in and because Aaron Rodgers is going to push for it and the team will do anything and everything the man says. But here's a snippet on the Jets. It says, now the Jets are the team working like they're all in. New York has been eyeing Adams since last year, and now they've got a real shot. Trade talks could heat up next week as Rodgers has been clear with owner Woody Johnson, general manager Joe Douglas, and coach Robert Saleh that he wants his former teammate in green. Now, again, I don't know if she's saying that this is happening right now, or if it's that we are aware of a situation in which this has been said at some point in the past. I don't know. But let's be completely honest. Do we think Rodgers isn't saying that? Why would he not? Rodgers joined a new team and wants desperately to win a Super Bowl, and Davante would help that tremendously, especially as annoyed as he is with people not understanding where to be. They don't know what to do. They kept showing clips of Garrett Wilson. He's a talented wide receiver, but he doesn't know how to play the Rodgers offense. Very few people do, and Davante is one of the few, maybe the only one in the entire NFL that actually knows, outside of probably Lazard and Cobb, which is why he wanted them on the team. It's not about talent. It's about, do you know what I'm asking you to do? And Lazard does, and that's why, despite not being good at football, Rodgers wants him everywhere. Anyways, whatever. So that was about it. They talked about the same teams all over again. Funny thing is, the Raiders are probably going to win again. Denver is a favorite, but I just think it'd be funny if the Raiders won again. And it might make it a little bit easier to accept the situation, I suppose. Actually, probably make it worse for the Raiders. They probably want to lose the game to make it seem, not want to lose, but if they lose, it makes it seem like Davante's more valuable. If you keep winning without Davante, doesn't super seem like he's valuable. Anyways, then we've got 49ers and Cardinals. 49ers are 7-point favorites. I don't know that they should be, but they are starting to get their groove back, so I think the expectation is the Cardinals have kind of bottomed out. Seemed like they might have been great for a while, and now probably not so much. 49ers are really hitting their stride. So 49ers at home are going to be the bet. I will always and forever root for the Cardinals, and I am hopeful and desperate that they win. Green Bay 3-point favorites over the Rams still to this day. Again, I don't think it's necessarily a slam dunk. I don't think any game is a slam dunk, but the Packers have to win this game. They just have to. The Rams are, you want to talk about bottomed out, they are in dire straits. Their offensive line is pathetic and a joke, and like I said, they've had 10 different players. 10 players play for their offensive line through 4 games. Top 2 wide receivers are out. And they don't have 4 like the Packers do. Defense, not good. Packers got to win that game. Giants, Seahawks, 2 NFC teams, but I'm pulling for the Giants. Not that the Seahawks are super great, but if one of them's a playoff team right now, it's probably the Seahawks. So rooting for the Giants. You got Dallas and the Steelers. Definitely rooting for the Pittsburgh Steelers, partially because I just want Justin Fields to keep rolling. If he's even the quarterback, I have no idea what's going on with Russell Wilson. I really don't. Part of me just thinks that he lost the job, and in order to save face, they just won't admit it. So they keep letting him pretend he's hurt. But obviously, the other part is it's Dallas, and even if they're not a playoff team, which would be hilarious if that was the case, because they're not playing good football at all. They're an NFC team, and you got to root against them. Plus, I think another team that's got a bunch of injuries. Who was it they just said was out? The pass rusher. It's on the tip of my tongue. You know who I'm talking about. Doesn't matter. But then we got Monday Night Football, Kansas City Chiefs and the New Orleans Saints. I'm really torn. I should be rooting for the Chiefs because it's the Saints, but I'm not going to. I just don't care. I guess it's good if the Chiefs win, and they're expected to, 5.5-point favorites. Helps our playoff odds, but I don't like the Chiefs, and I don't think they should keep getting rewarded for playing bad football. They don't have any wide receivers. Their quarterback can't play, and the refs keep bailing them out on everything, and it ticks me off, and I don't want them to keep winning and thinking that they are good, because right now they're not very good. And if the Saints could do me a favor and put them in their place, it would be appreciated. Well, final thing, I think we'll just end after this. I just saw Matt LaFleur was fined. There's another fine that got sent down here. Who is this? Nico Collins got fined $22,511. How do they come up with this stuff? It must be a percentage of your paycheck. Anyways, he got fined for playing football. Matt LaFleur was fined several $1,000s. I don't remember the exact number, 14,000, something like that, for yelling at the referees. Matt LaFleur, who called timeout, who yelled, "Hey, I'm calling timeout," as he's calling timeout with his hands, with his mouth, screaming at the referee who's ignoring him, and was ignored, and kind of screwed everything up. He was angry about that, and he yelled at the refs because he was frustrated with them. But apparently the refs are giant babies who can't handle criticism when they mess up and they do something wrong. And rather than the NFL taking accountability and saying, yeah, we messed up, we need to be better, and we're sorry to Matt LaFleur, they decided to fine him because, you're not allowed to criticize the referees ever. They're allowed to make as many mistakes as they want, and if you criticize them, you will be fined. I'm sure Matt LaFleur said a naughty word or something, and that's why he needs to lose over $10,000 of his own money, of his family's money, because for naughty words and whatnot on a football field. Can't even imagine something like that. This frickin' soft league, man, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm watching this hit by Nico Collins on repeat. And again, it's just guys lowering their heads. I don't know. I don't know what exactly you want them to do. Whatever. If anything, this is more egregious than what Josh Jacobs did. But I think it's still stupid, but whatever. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. You guys have a good rest of your day. Again, remember, jump on packernet.substack.com. Grab yourself a subscription. You can get a free subscription. And then at some point during the day hopefully before the Jets game, I'll get a chat going. I don't think I've ever done it before. But be a place where we can hang out and talk about the games going on and whatnot. Talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.